All right, we are live. Thank you. Welcome everyone to yet another weekly meeting of the working group for the report widgets. I'm going to guess it's the 16th, but I lost count by now. And right, let's go straight to the announcements. I posted a bit of a quick update on the status of the ongoing work. So the clickable row of level 1 merge request report widget has been merged today. So it's on its way to production. Thanks, Phil and Jeremy. I think you both worked on that. If anyone else worked on it, I'm sorry, but it's very welcome to see. So that should hit production soon. Play around with it. If you have any issues, report them in the usual way, and we'll get to it if there are any. But I'm looking forward to trying this out. I haven't played with it yet. And the other update we've had was that the accessibility widget was merged. So thanks everyone who worked on that. I saw that Gina, you reviewed it. Peyton was in there. So good job. And yes, I had a question. So let's, for the sake of recording, is anyone working to get it added to our sample widget? And then Gina said,
yeah, it's added to now I'm confused. I think it's added to the same merge request that we had all of the other widgets in. But then I noticed that some of our other widgets are gone, and I don't know if it happened after that was added. So right now, accessibility and status checks are
okay.
there.
So I think basically this is the third MR in that project, and the one we had with all the other widgets is on the first merge request, is the ID one. So at the very top of the documentation of the agenda, I have example MRs section. I just added the one you just gave us, the third. The other ones are in the merge request /1. That I think still carries all the other widgets. So okay. It'd be nice to merge them, yeah, like you said. But as long as we have a link to it, it's not that big of a deal. So if somebody could merge them, that would be nice. If not, I don't see a big issue in there. Thanks for sharing, Gina. Cool. So with that, then just highlighting the ongoing work in 14.8, where Yannick and Phil is working on updating the documentation, so technical documentation for the widget, so that people know how to work with it. And with the new improvements, yes, the new improvements that we shipped. And then the other part is adding support for content sections for level 3. That's also in this milestone. Looking forward to merge that. There's probably others. This is the ones that had the label. So if you don't see your work here and you're working there, if you don't see your work, add the label. Please add the new shiny label. I forgot what it's called. Merge request report widgets, of course. That's obvious. Cool, thanks. And that's all for me. Let's move it over to discussion items. Fernando, you have the first.
Yeah, hey everyone. I just wanted to, I guess, chime in and indicate that Secure Stage is going through a little bit of a reorg in terms of front-end resources. So I'll be working on compositional analysis, which covers license compliance and the work that Yannick has been working on. So you'll see more of me in this meeting and in the efforts for the I guess, merge request extensions. So I just wanted to put that out there just for transparency. Be happy to be contributing to this working group and being part of the team. Yeah, any questions regarding that? Cool.
Thanks for the update. Is there any link? I'm not aware of the reorg.
Yeah, we do have. I'll after
I
get through. Yeah, I'll share that right after I go through the agenda items. Yeah, we do have one, which will describe the reasons for it and the details of who's going where. So I'm coming in a little bit later into this, but Yannick did kind of give me a overview right prior to this meeting of where the state is in regards to the extensions. But I did have a question. So I see how we defined UI structure for levels 1 through 3 and particular components or UI elements that are available at those layers. Are those pretty locked in, or are we taking an approach where we can dynamically generate them recursively, where we say we have 4 or 5 different types of UI elements that we can show, and then we can kind of configure these extensions to show them in any which way any which configuration recursively, or are they pretty locked in? Level 1, 2, and 3 only have a subset of these components, and certain components can only be used at a particular level. And we've only defined up to level 3. I don't know if that kind of makes sense.
Code-wise, I think it's pretty locked in. Do you have any example of what you would like to do? Because I'm not entirely sure what you mean by
So
UI
to give an
portions.
example, yeah. So in the secure stage, we have this notion of what they call generic security reports. So we have anywhere we show vulnerabilities, we have data associated to those vulnerabilities. So with the generic security reports, we can actually generate these reports, the UI elements dynamically, whether it's in the modal or not, or if it's embedded in the page for a vulnerability. The data that's associated to vulnerability can be dynamically structured. So if you wanted to have if you wanted to have like lists of data and then have it nested multiple layers, you could just define it in the I guess the view, and it will in the configuration. It will parse that and then dynamically generate the data nested, as opposed to saying, hey, we could only render things at level 1 or 2 or 3. I don't have a use case for it now, but what I'm saying is in terms of robustness and feature flexibility, it would allow anyone to, if they needed for some reason to nest at 4 or 5 layers. I don't think we need to do that, but I was just asking,
Yeah, I understand your question. I think there's also part of this answer is UX, but from code perspective, I don't think that is possible. What we do worked in the past, and I recommend you take a look at the ones that we already have, is you have some flexibility that we've added with some, we using asprintf to generate some strings, and you can change how the, the warning strings show up. So you have some flexibility there, not in terms of layering. So I don't think you'll be able to kind of like adding multiple levels down below. And I think that was on purpose to kind of like have some sort of consistency to the widgets from the UX perspective. But I don't know, Gina, Chayana, do you have any other thoughts on that? Maybe Jeremy,
When we did our design audit, everything that we came out with kind of fit within the parameters of that audit. So I think what would be helpful is just to visualize the use case and then see if there's a way to fit it in with what we have today. And then if not, determine a design direction, and I'll invite with you on it.
Might be worth putting an issue together then for them to kind of like
laying
your thoughts.
Yeah, I didn't have a use case yet, so it's not a problem we have to solve.
Okay.
I was thinking more of the things of like architecturally, like supporting that ability where it's kind of self-service, right? The idea is we have these specific set of official components that we support within that extension, and that the developer is still limited to those set components, but they have a little bit robust flexibility to in the future kind of structure these how they want and nest them as they want. That might be an improvement later, but I was just, because right now we're locked into a particular what's available level 1, 2, or 3. But I understand for consistency's sake that is kind of better in the short term. So I'll create an issue to kind of weigh those, but not trying to derail the efforts or the approach taken so far. So just food for thought.
No, this is great. This is great questions for them, because I think we have to be open that maybe the framework doesn't cover everything. So I think it's important to keep chatting about these sort of things. And if you do, so great issue, we'll take a look at it. I do think the principle has been towards being less restrictive. So we haven't been too keen on having slots so that you can just throw anything in there. It's like a structured UI, but the idea is then if you need something that is not covered by the current code, we'll add it. We'll discuss it with UX, see how it's supposedly to be added consistently to other usages, and then we'll just add support for it as we go. Part of the documentation will also potentially cover that, how to add support for more things. We also already have somewhat of a process to, if you need something in specific about this area, to consult with the code review team and everything. But yeah, it's not a hard no, but it's kind of like, I think up until now, the idea has been to restrict so that we have consistency. but the restrictions are flexible to a point. So if you have come up with, so I'm just saying that in the future, if that comes up, do bring it up. So don't just assume that we won't build it. Just bring it up because it might make sense for other widgets. But yeah, open the issue. We'll go from there. And thanks for bringing it up. Awesome. I moved away. Where am I? Any other thoughts? Can we move over to technical discussions? All right. I think this is already answered, but Yannick, you want to present your question?
Yeah, it's completely already solved. I've just been looking for a merge request which has a level 2 action item, and if anybody else does, all the way up in our agenda there is actually an example MR which covers all of the features and the level 2 action items, so that would be a good place to look for it.
Sweet. Then it's covered. Great. Any other questions or thoughts in your minds? Okay. If not, thank you everyone for attending yet another fruitful week session, and I'll see you next week.